Hello, I'm Derek Terry, host of I'm Not Complaining, I'm Just Saying. Here at one of my favorite spots, the barbershop, where we know if you're gonna complain here, then you better provide solutions.
Good.
It's good. I firmly believe when we make other people's problems part of our conversations without providing solutions or prayer, then we become part of the problem. I want to be able to provide people with a platform where they can freely express their views on such topics as education, social issues, health and fitness. And that's good. Or sports. So please join me so we can complain and provide solutions together. Greetings, peoples. This is your man, Derek Terry, host of I'm Not Complaining, I'm Just Saying, where if you're going to complain, you better bring some solutions to the table. We have a very exciting show today. I am here not only with my fraternity brother, but also with a good friend, President and CEO of TCP Black Shield, Lord Walthour.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
And today's show is entitled, Do Guns Kill People or Do People Kill People? Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit touchy, but part of the show is to try to see where do we fit? Is it a chicken or egg? We don't know. The other part of it is to really highlight what Black Shield does in terms of gun safety, gun protocol, and just all the things that involves dealing with guns. We'll also get an opportunity to step out and go to the range, and I may fire a little bit. I haven't fired a weapon in maybe 4 or 5 years, can't really remember, but it's been a while. So before we quickly read to you the bio of Brother Lord, so you will know that we definitely have a professional here. He has 32 years of firearm experience and is currently ranked expert marksman under the NRA qualifications program. He is an NRA certified fireman instructor, Maryland State Police handgun qualified instructor, a Metropolitan Police DC certified instructor, and an NRA range safety officer. So he comes with wealth of experience. So what we want to do now is, Brother Lord, please explain to us, how did TCP Black Shield come about?
Well, Brother Terry, the reason why I started TCP Black Shield was to give our up-and-coming community, particularly those who are new to the firearm community, same excitement and joy that I had when I first shot my first firearm. I shot my first firearm, I was 8 years old. My father started me on a Ruger 22 Model 80. And I fell in love. By the age of 14, my father enlisted me into my first competition in the Police Athletic League. My father was a retired New Jersey police officer as well as a veteran of the Korean War. After being involved in several competitions, at the age of 16, I was actually training Eddie Eagle for the actual NRA and the Boy Scouts. A lot of individuals don't know that the Boy Scouts actually have a merit badge for a rifle that they have to test for in order to get their Eagle Scout. So at the age of 16, I was my first instructor experience was teaching the Boy Scouts. So I want to bring that same enthusiasm that I had in first using a firearm to this generation.
Okay, so before we go a little bit more into what Black Shield does as far as the gun safety, these are, as we look at the title of the show, and there's a debate of whether or not is it people who kill people or is it guns that kill people. And I'm kind of in between, but when I think about it, and especially after having conversations with you, if I put the gun on the table, the gun is not going to shoot unless somebody actually picks it up. I think where some people have the problem is, and it varies from state to state, what are the gun policies that are protecting people from not killing other people?
That's a good question, Brother Terry. I get asked that quite often. A firearm by itself is neither safe nor unsafe. It is an inanimate object. It's the heart and the mind of a man to use something for evil purpose. I can take a rock, I can take an automobile. If I want to use an automobile for an evil purpose and drive into a crowd of people or a rock to kill you, it's exactly the same. It's my evil heart and my intentions that cause me to cause somebody harm. And it's the exact same with the firearm. With the proper safety protocols and learning how to respect and use a firearm safely, it's like any other invention that man or woman has made that we having evil intentions could turn to evil purposes.
Okay, and as we talk about firearms, I know you have a host of different firearms that people can qualify for. Myself personally, I've shot the M16, spending 28 years in the military. I've shot the M4 as well. But when I look at it on a civilian side, I've always been against those type of weapons used here because I don't see the relevance in them. I can understand where some people may, but seeing what it does to the body overseas, seeing what it does just in general, these M4, these assault weapons or rifles, whatever you want to call them, to me, I don't see the significance nor the relevance of them being in the hands of civilians. And that's just my opinion. I know we've had a discussion, so what is your take on it?
Well, Brother Terry, first thing you need to understand is the history of firearms in general. Actually, every firearm pretty much that was created under military or during periods of war or unrest. So particularly the AR-15, it was manufactured in 1953, and the Army wanted actual replacement for then was the M1 Garand, because the M1 Garand at that time was chambered in a 7.62 chamber cartridge, which was really overkill for deployments at 300, 200 yards. They also wanted something that was less heavy, ammunition costs left, as well as less expensive to manufacture. So then Armalite company at that time is the original design for the AR-15, and the actual name of the AR-15 is the Armalite Rifle Model 15. So that's where the AR-15 comes from. Armalite Rifle Model 15 was shortened to the AR-15. So then in the early 60s, when the Vietnam War was heating up, that was the replacement for, at that time, was the M14, which was a Springfield Armory, which was chambered in that same 7.62 cartridge. And as I just discussed, they wanted something, military wanted something that was good at from at least 300 to 500 yards, that could penetrate metal helmets, and that was light, easy and inexpensive to manufacture, as well as the ammunition was cheaper. So that was how the actual M16 rifle, which is our modern day AR, came about. So every firearm, just about since the Revolutionary War, including the Civil War, were made for times of war or unrest. So today, any firearm is dangerous. A .22, if used for evil purposes, is no less deadly than an AR. A .45, a 9mm, a .40, a 30-06 cartridge, a .243, any of your hunting rifles cartridges, all of these firearms, if used improperly, are deadly. So the AR-15 looks like a military, but it's a semi-automatic rifle, just as your semi-automatic pistols or your semi-automatic hunting rifles. So understanding, once again, the heart and the mind of man to use something for evil purposes is why I think we get off track on banning one firearm versus banning another.
But I guess is where I have the dilemma. If, let's say for instance, say if the AR-15 or whatever assault rifle was to be used strictly just for sport or competition. Now, if that was the case, then I can maybe understand it, but the way it stands now, if it's legal to sell, it's legal to sell, regardless if you're using it for sport or if you're using it just to have it. Personally, I think that that would drop some of the crime, but criminals will find a way to get guns illegally, regardless of what they're used for. So in that degree, I can see where when people make the argument, is it people who kill people or is it guns that kill people? And like I said before, if you put the gun there, it's not going to shoot unless someone picks it up. I think some people have the argument is that whether it's the federal government or certain state governments, they're allowing certain weaponry to be sold. And in essence, that's what they feel is increasing the crime rate, when in actuality, it's some cases criminals, some cases people who don't have a thorough background in gun safety, which kind of brings me to the next question is, when we look at ways to provide gun safety or just tools to give to people, what are 3 or 4 essential things, not without doing the training, just like 3 or 4 essential things that any gun owner or potential gun owner should know?
So, Brother Terry, to answer the first part of your question, sin kills. The evil intention and thoughts of the heart is what kills. We are law-abiding citizens. That's why we have the law and the rule of law here in the United States. Okay, and we have punishments for those that break the law. Second part of your question about firearm safety, which is paramount. That's what we do. That's what we teach. Every class, every range instruction, anyone that's handling a firearm, the basic 4 tenements of safety are: 1, always assume a firearm is loaded. So we teach you the proper technique for clearing a firearm or unloading it. Always keep a firearm pointed in a safe direction. 3, always keep your finger off the trigger of a firearm until you're ready to use it or engage. And 4, always keep a firearm unloaded until you're ready to use it. And when I say unloaded, I'm not talking about in the self-defense or for home defense type use, but if you're going out to the range or you're out with your family or friends and you're at a shooting competition, you keep that firearm unloaded until directed to load and start to use. Those are the basic principles of safety for firearm use.
Yeah, and those are similar to the military training. I depending on where you're at, of course I was in a war zone, so we weren't locked and loaded, but the mag was in there, so we had to lock and load, boom, you got the magazine.
And safety begins with you. We are responsible for the safe handling and use of a firearm. So whether a firearm has a safety on it or not, we're taught the correct protocols to always handle a firearm safety. In particular, a child, never touch a firearm. If you see a firearm, always call for an adult. If you stumble upon a firearm, never touch it. But safety is each one of our responsibilities, and that's the basic tenet of which we teach every student here at TCP Black Shield.
Okay, so we talked about, really when we think about it, the whole TCP Black Shield is focused on gun safety. But you have, I believe it was 8 courses. So what are some of the main courses? You can say all the courses if you want, but what are some of the main courses and some of the key highlights of those courses?
Well, our course selection is varied. We teach, as we just previously talked about, one of the first things we teach is safety. We teach that same safety course to every individual that enters this TCP Black Shield facility. Whether you're a seasoned firearm person, or you're a first time, you're going to learn them basic tenements of how to safely and responsibly own and use a firearm. Our most popular courses are, we teach the Maryland HQL, which is our handgun qualification license. In Maryland, if you're not exempt, which means you're not retired military, retired police officer, or hadn't owned a firearm prior to 2013, you need an HQL in order to purchase a firearm in Maryland for protection of your home, or to take out to a range or a shooting competition. We also have more advanced training courses. We also teach both the Maryland, DC, and Virginia concealed carry course, and that's for individuals that want to carry a firearm concealed on their person, which is a much more advanced firearm training, which takes you through 16 hours of training in which you're going to learn every aspect and facet of firearm use, safety training, state law. We also teach the basics of how to clean a firearm. A firearm, just like any other device you have, requires periodic maintenance to keep it in pristine operating use, particularly if you're using it for defensive purposes. We also teach various tactical classes on shooting and moving. We teach classes on home self-defense, on defending yourself for your house or your property, as well as youth firearm classes for your kids from 8 years up and older. We encourage parents to bring your kids out to the trainer to learn them to safely use a firearm at a young age. Them are just a couple of the firearm courses that we teach here at TCP Black Shield, but be assured we have a firearm training course designed specifically for you.
Quick question. I don't believe Maryland and DC are open carry, but is Virginia open carry?
Yes, you are correct. Virginia is an open carry state. However, we being law-abiding citizens, even though it is an open carry state, we have to follow the laws, because the laws actually state in Virginia, if a proprietor says that they don't allow open carry in their establishment, you have to follow state law by making sure that your firearm is concealed in that particular case. However, DC and Maryland are concealed carry states, which means that firearm should be completely concealed. No one should know you're carrying a firearm when you're carrying concealed. And there's some of the areas that we go over into the class, how to conceal, particular type of clothes you need to wear when you conceal, different types of holsters you need to conceal to make sure that you are abiding by state law.
Now, for me, this is kind of a sensitive topic, because when I was in Colorado, I didn't know that Colorado was an open carry state. So I'm in Walmart and I notice a young black man come in, and I see his gun. So the first thing I say as I go to cashier, "Miss, he has a gun." I said, I'm in the military. I was like, I'm about to call 911. And she looked at me like, "Why?" And I said, "Because he has a gun." And then she went on to say that, that's when she told me that Colorado was open carry. And I'm thinking, and maybe it's the demographics. I can't imagine someone in DC or in Maryland with an open carry, and you go into some of these areas where they're not accustomed to seeing black folks, and what would happen. And this area where I was, Colorado Springs, was kind of diverse. But what is your professional opinion on states who have open carry? Is it something that you discuss within your gun safety when it comes, because, and what I mean by it is, if open carry is a law, then it should apply to everyone. But do you find some of your clients who may happen to be African American or Latino, whatever it may be, somewhat reluctant to want to display it when they're in certain areas, when it's open carry state, with the fear of, hey, he has a gun?
Actually, the answer to that question is no. We are law-abiding citizens exercising our Second Amendment right like any other citizen in these United States of America. So if the law says that we can carry open versus conceal, we carry according to what the law says we can do.
Now, I'm not sure whether or not you know the answer to this question or not, but let's say is open carry state. Does the police have the right to request your paperwork at any time?
The police in this country enforce the rule of law. Yes, in every state, the police have a right to detain you to ensure that you have the proper qualifications to carry a firearm. Not only for your safety, but for their safety as well. So we as law-abiding citizens, if we get stopped, we can be detained by the police to ensure that we're carrying that firearm in accordance with whatever state we are, their laws and their statutes. So yes, the police do have the right to stop or detain anyone carrying a firearm. Remember, in this country, a firearm is a privilege. It is not a right. And like any privilege that is abused, it can be revoked.
Yeah, and that's important to know, because I know people that say, well, I have my Second Amendment right, which you might have, but if you can't produce the paperwork, how do we know whether or not you're exercising that right in a lawful way? And that's key to remember, because a lot of people say, you're taking away my Second Amendment right by taking away this A-15 or AR-15 or whatever. And it's like, no, that's not what they're doing. What they do is, I would say maybe limited it, like they do in the military. Yes, I have freedom of speech, but very limited freedom of speech when I'm in the military.
Exactly.
Very, very limited. But like anything, we have our rights, but from state to state, it may be limited. So I guess before we actually go out and do a little bit of shooting, you have you don't do this alone. So you have I guess three other members. So you can either say them by name or just tell us what each one of them does. They may do something a little bit different.
Yes, we have a team of professional instructors who are also firearm enthusiasts. We have our VP of Safety Operations, Lord Walthour, who is also a 21-year veteran, retired military. He's responsible for all our safety programs and protocols regarding safe handling, issue of firearms throughout this facility. We also have Jonathan Lee, who is also a ex-Marine, who is responsible for our advanced firearm safety courses, including tactical training, shooting while moving, in-the-house firearm training. We also have my son, Lord Walthour II, who is also a range certified safety officer. He's also a second Dan black belt in Taekwondo. He is responsible for our self-defense classes and firearms and self-defense. In the event that during an altercation you lose your firearm or you not carrying your firearm at that particular time, we teach you how not only to defend yourself with current things that you're carrying like keys or flashlight. So we also goes into a lot of our advanced tactical training with hand locks, throws, takedowns. So we have a very experienced team of professionals here at TCP Black Shield, and we look forward to servicing you for all of your firearm needs. Visit us on the web at www.tcpblackshield.com, as well as on Facebook at TCP Black Shield. I look forward to seeing you. Be safe and Godspeed.
Okay, well, we can definitely say this is a family business, whether it's through blood, through fraternity, but this is definitely a family business. And so what we're gonna do right now, we're gonna take a quick little break, and I guess y'all might see me shoot a little, huh? I'm not betting if I'm gonna shoot expert, but we're gonna shoot a little, so we'll be right back. All right, so we are outside on the range, and I'm about to get a quick tutorial. And what is this one called?
That's a 6 Sawyer P320. That's a 6 Sawyer.
Okay, so this is definitely different from an M16 and an M4, which last thing that I actually shot. So first thing that I
always keep your finger off of the trigger.
Off the trigger.
All right. You want to always make sure that this breech is open so that you can physically as well as check to make sure there's no ammunition in here. You always want to keep it pointed down the range.
Down the range, remember
okay?
that. Down
always
the
keep
range.
it forward. When you pick up, make sure that finger rail's on the rail. So when you pick it up, finger off of that trigger.
And safety first. And I've already preloaded my 10 rounds. And the M16 bullet is actually
well, that's a 9mm.
Yeah.
So
it's about 2 of these. That's about M16. Yeah, it's long. It's long. About like that. All right, so got to point it down range. Got the magazine in. I'm still keeping everything down range.
Got a nice tight grip.
Nice tight grip.
Finger up. Wrap.
A wrap.
Trim is done. Nice and tight.
And I keep my finger off the trigger.
Okay, well, put my glasses on. Hold on. Let me get my eyes. You want to keep straight focus on that camera. Make sure you focus through the rear side to the front side. Trigger straight back. Try not to move them hands. Nice tight grip. Okay?
Okay.
Alright. Squeeze that. Squeeze. Keep that perfectly straight. Straight that out.
Okay. And now I
fire when ready.
Alright.
Good. That's tight. Alright.
That's tight.
Keep them forward, thumb forward. I want that thumb right there. That's where I want you. Excellent. Bring up that sight. Bring up that sight. Good. Alright, out. Drop that magazine out.
Oops,
Drop that magazine. Drop the magazine out right here. Take it out. Physically inspect. No bullets in that tank. Place it down.
Place it down.
That's your basic firearm experience.
Alright, and keep in mind, I had a practice round. So I shot off 20 rounds. And for those who have not shot a weapon in a long time, don't get out here and think you Clint Eastwood and all that. Believe me, it takes practice. And I don't know if you can pan to the areas where I shot at. Like I said, for those that are watching, the key thing is gun safety. So if you get an opportunity to come out to TCP, Black Shield, and we'll have his information listed. It's a great course for those that are beginning, those that are advanced, and even in the 15-minute training I got, I learned a lot and I remembered a lot. So, quick question: you have clients that not only come from Maryland, but they come from D.C. and Virginia.
Right, Maryland, D.C. and Virginia, the tri-state area. That's our training for, because our classes for that concealed carry cover both Maryland, D.C., and Virginia.
All right, so for my people that live out in D.C. and live out in Virginia, this is definitely a great course. I can't speak for the other courses in D.C. and Virginia, but I can tell you that you probably won't get a more intimate feeling and more one-on-one attention than you probably will get here. So I thank everybody for watching the show for today, and I'm still keeping this gun pointed down the range. But just to answer the question, do people kill people or do guns kill people? Okay? Always remember, this gun is sitting there. There's nobody there to fire except for the person. So we must learn to be responsible and to follow the law. And this is specifically to my people. And it's one of those shows where I like to address my people. It's okay to own a gun. It really is. I think sometimes people get upset. It's when we start to own guns, now it's a problem. Well, guess what? It's not a problem if you were fighting for the same thing we're fighting for, the Second Amendment rights. So don't get upset if we're doing the same thing that you're doing, just so we can have an opportunity to exercise our constitutional right. I don't believe in AR-15s and assault weapons. That's just my opinion. They have no place. But it is what it is, and it's state by state. So with that, thank you for coming to the show. I appreciate you, Brother Walthour, for giving opportunity to come into your establishment. And remember, I'm not complaining, I'm just saying. But if you're going to complain, bring some solutions to the table. Thank you.